So in the last class, we discussed about security. That means who sees what, right? Uh, and we discussed about profiles, permission sets, OWD, and everything, right? Object level security, field level security, record level security. And we last discussed was record level security, which was OWD, and in OWD we were setting OWD to private. That means only owner can see their records. We can set to public read only. That means only owner can edit their records, and we can also set to public read write. That means everybody can do everything for anybody's record, provided this is all governed by the profiles. If you do not have access in the profile itself, you cannot do all these things, right? So simple logic. So now today, if you have public read write, that is, there is no record level security, right? Everybody can change everybody's record, right? So usually security is these two settings. If you set the OWD to private, that means if you are not a owner, you cannot see that record. Public read write is if you are not an owner, you cannot edit that. Okay, so these two are secure record level security. OWD is, if you're saying I want record level security, then you have to choose either of these two settings, right? Whenever you turn this on, private and public read write, that means the only owner can see their records. To bypass OWD in the profile or permission set, you have to give a view all permission or modify all permission, right? That is how we bypass. But that will give access to that person to all records of the table, right? But maybe that is not what we want. We want only in special situations some records to be shared, to be accessible to some other people, non-owners. In that case, what are the different ways of showing the record to non-owners? The first is manual sharing. Manual sharing is done using a sharing button that is there on the record, which you can use, and you can select a user and you can share that record. When you share the record, that person, you can give two types of access. You can give a read access or read write access. This is done by the owner itself, right? Only owner can do this manual sharing. So they can use the sharing button and they can share. Let's see this. So account is set to public read write, right? So if I go to now account and I go to any record, there is nothing called a read write button, right? Or sharing button. Now let us edit this and set the account to private. It will take some time for these calculations to happen. And what is happening meanwhile is something, let us see. So if I go to workbench, Hmm. Don't know what is happening. Okay. Now there are 44 rows, okay, on account share object. This every object will have a share object to keep track of sharing. Okay. So let us now see one record on which we want to talk about. So flow test is the record. So we will see name, share, where in ID or account ID. Sorry. Account access level, reason, forgetting the name of that objects. Let's see the workbench, otherwise it's very difficult. It's going on. Don't know what is going on. Every day it works, today it is not working. API one name must have. So we will see the account. So let's see the account. Every object will have an account share object, right? This will only have values when you make this OWD either to private or you make it public read only. Then only it will have start filling up with values. Otherwise, it will not be used for any purpose. So let's see this. What are these things? Account, account ID, row cause, and user ID group. Okay. Now I will check this as name. ID is not very useful, and I will put a filter of account ID equal to this one, and I will do it. Now what I am seeing, there is a account ID. So the account flow test one is or record owner, he has full access, all access, and because he is the owner of that record, right? So let's go to flow test once again. Here, if you go and check the edit page, I think this was modified last day. We'll see the dynamic. Yeah. So we can add action and we can have a sharing action. You see. These you can add this. It is automatically added to the page layout. If you are using this record page, then you have to clearly come up with this one. Anyway, so let's go back and save this. I have a sharing button now. Here I can now search with another user and I can give read write access to this person, right? And you see, I have full access myself and I am giving integration user the other access. When I do that, if I query, so it said row cause is manual sharing has happened. The access I have given is read access on this account to integration user. Here, that's how Salesforce now automatically, the integration user is able to see this account, even if they are not an account owner. Clear? This job or this sharing button is used by the account owner to do the same. Clear? Let's go back. Second access is can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Second type of sharing is only applicable for few objects, that is few standard objects. What are kind of objects? Account, case, opportunity. They have this kind of sharing. Only these three objects has it. It's called team sharing. All these objects have a thing called team. You have to activate that. Account team is there, case team is there, opportunity team is there. If you activate it, all the team members will start sharing that record. It is quite a sophisticated version of manual sharing. The only difference is that you can specify a role. Please remember, this role has nothing to do with the role hierarchy. What you are giving that. This is only role specific to that record. Okay, and it has no implication. There is no role hierarchy kind of a access. It is a pure team individual. It's a little advanced level of manual sharing. Okay, let's see that. So down below, you don't see anything here, right? If you go to setup and go to team, you see account teams are here. This you have to enable account teams. If you enable account teams, you can add this to all layouts. This will become a related list to all layouts. And you can define different roles, stuff, anything. Team roles are already specified. Some things are default already there, but you can keep on changing, delete some, create new. Okay, you can do that. What happens is that if you enable this, now you see the new related list has come here, account team, and you can add team members. So integration user now can have a role. and you can give a different access. Save it. Okay. If you go and check the sharing, that is also remaining. So if you see here, you will understand the Animesh Banerjee is the owner. It has all access. Integration user, I can only have 2 users. That's why I am not able to show it. Integration user manual sharing has given this access. Integration user also has read-write access. The total value you can see here when you do this query. You will see now a team row cause has been added, through which it is showing a edit access for integration users. That means integration now can edit the record. Through manual sharing, it had read access. Through team sharing, it has now edit access. Okay. Usually you will do somebody. So wherever you will have teams, try to use teams rather than manual sharing. Manual sharing can be used any objects which does not support teams. Teams is supported on opportunities also. Team is also supported on case. So that is second way of sharing. Both of these are owner-based sharing. That means owner can do this sharing, right? Now I want to do some automatic sharing. Typically, how will automatic sharing work? Automatic sharing will be working like whatever records I have, right? Everybody should be able to, like my boss should be able to see my records. Right? Otherwise, he cannot see what I am working on. Right? Then in third, sharing comes. This is not actually sharing. This is by default, it's a setup in the organization itself. And this is where the role hierarchy is using. You remember every users will have a like mandatory profile. Similarly, a user can also be assigned a role. And role hierarchy will be like the CEO, VP sales, VP service, sales executive India, sales executive USA, something like this. So one user can be assigned this role, and any user who is assigned the upper role or this role will automatically start seeing that record of that owner. So all the users who have been assigned a higher role will automatically see the record of the lower person. The lower person cannot see the higher person's record. Higher person can see the lower person's record. People on the same level also cannot see each other's record. People on the same role also cannot see each other's record. Clear? How does it work? If you go to setup, you have a role. Here you see, these are the default role hierarchy which has been given to you. You can assign directly a person here, which user you want to give. You from here also, you can also, when you're creating a user, at that point also, you can also assign a role. You see, these are the profiles. There is no role given, but I can of course give integration user role. You see, all these roles are available. I can set up any role. Usually it is done using a role hierarchy because it is easier for you to see at what hierarchy does that person is there, right? The role hierarchy is the third level of share. The fourth, that means it is a vertical sharing. People higher in your organizations are automatically seeing the records owned by the people in the lower end of the organization. Clear? So did I share this? Did I show you a role hierarchy, by the way, in Salesforce?
Sir, I was not able to see that.
Sorry?
No, sir.
No?
Sir. No.
You guys have to tell me, right? Otherwise, how will
Sir, I thought, sir, the issue was on my side, sir. That's why I didn't say to you. The video was playing, but it was playing in a smaller screen, sir.
So I was showing this role hierarchy. Have you seen role hierarchy? This one. So this is the role hierarchy, right? So usually you will see all these different kinds of roles. Inside that there are roles. You can assign anybody a role. When you click on that, any users can be assigned. If you are creating a user also, you can assign a role to that person. Usually you will use the role hierarchy. Okay, so role hierarchy is the way in which we are basically assigning the automatically sharing, and this is done by the system administrator. You are setting it up for every user, right? It's a vertical sharing. Now, what is the fourth method? Fourth method is sharing rules. If I already are sharing with my boss and his boss and his boss, then why do we need sharing rule? When you need a vertical sharing is that higher up you are already sharing. But if you have a situation which is across vertical, that means in horizontal sharing you need to do. Probably people on the same role need to share each other's record, or people of a different department needs to see some records on special situation, like HR has to see all records, something like this. Or basically people, a salesman of USA are very less. In that case, they should see each other's record if that is a requirement. That means is a sharing in special situations, which is not supported through role hierarchy. In that case, you will create a sharing rules. Sharing rules are of two types. One is ownership based, and one is criteria based. Ownership based means you can select some roles or public groups and choose which users are belonging to this roles or public group, and you can share to some roles or public groups. What is public group? We'll discuss now. Criteria sharing is again field values of that. If you say that billing address city is equal to Colorado, something of that sort, right? A field value of that object. Using that, you can share to a role or public. That is a sharing. Let's see this. I will go back to sharing settings. We need to remember where we can set everything, right? So now account and contact is private. We can go back to account sharing rules. Here we can say my rule. And you can choose based on record owner. That is ownership based sharing. So you can choose which role, like customer support North America. All people of customer support North America should see each other's record. So you select the records owned by all users who have this role, and you can share to all users who have a director channels, something like that, right? And it can be read only, it can be read write, whatever. So this is a ownership based sharing wherein you can choose the roles. You can also choose a public group. What is a public group? I will show. Based on criteria also, then you have to assign the field value, like billing city equal to something. And then you can share it to any role or public group. What is a public group? Public group is basically a group of users. A public group can contain another public group. So let's create my public group. You can randomly choose anything like users. roles, public groups inside it. So whatever. So you can create a group of users. Inside it, you can select users, you can select some roles, you can select some other public groups, and you can make a public group. All these users can be used to share records as well as choose records which belongs to this public group, right? So you can use it for ownership-based sharing, for selection criteria, as well as for giving the permissions to. If you have random set of people to which you want to give permission, then you have to use a public group. Probably you cannot use the same role, right? One role only you can share, right? So if there is a different people who have different roles, in that case, probably you have to create a public group. So that's the fourth way of sharing. Again, this is set up by system administrator, and it's the automatic sharing. Fifth is dynamic sharing, which is called Apex managed sharing. Where will you use this one? So in special situation wherein you want to share to one person, you can use manual sharing. When you are frequently, you have a team to work on, you will use team sharing. Your boss, if your org hierarchy or role hierarchy is already set up in your organization, automatically your boss is seeing your records. If you have automatic ways of sharing across departments and stuff, you will have sharing rules. Then what is the need for this one? This is required for situations wherein you do not know beforehand whom to share the record. So you cannot set up a automatic rule for sharing records because you do not know which role or which public group I will share this to, or which set of users I will be sharing this to. That is only decided by a logic. If that is the case, or the value is changing dynamic, in that case, you will use a Apex managed sharing. Apex managed sharing is basically, let me give you an example. In account object, you have a new field, which is a user lookup field. You create a custom field, you create a lookup field, and you create a lookup to the user object. Okay. And this field is called account coordinator. Now your requirement is every time a new record is created, new account record is created, automatically this person should start seeing that account because he's the account coordinator. Now, if you are using manual sharing, then you have to add that person to that record manually. If you are using team sharing, then you have to add that person in the team. In role hierarchy, you cannot put this situation because that person may belong to a higher role than you. It can also belong to a lower role. There is no guarantee that that person will be in the role hierarchy higher or lower. So you cannot use role hierarchy. Then you cannot use sharing role because that is not specifically for that role or public group, right? It is chosen by that field. Whoever you are selecting on that field, that will get their access automatically. So in this situation, Apex, this is a logic-driven sharing. Does not, all of these four methods cannot be used. Therein, you have to do dynamic sharing using Apex managed sharing. This is done using flow or triggers, Apex triggers. So this is coding. Usually we'll stick to flows. So try to write a flow which will insert a row in your account share table. So you have to manually put a record insert into account share record. Which user? The same table, this table. Again, I'm not sharing this. So if you insert one row in the share table using a flow, that sharing is called Apex managed sharing. Okay. So you can put a row cause, you can define your own row cause. Row cause can be defined only for custom objects. Otherwise, for standard objects, you have to use the row cause as manual. Okay. So you will define, you will add a new row, and that user, specific user, you will assign, and this is how you automatically share. So you have to write a flow. You will probably write a flow. What kind of flow will you use to do an insert in this table? Anybody? When the account record is getting created, I want to do an insert in this table, right? What kind of flow will you create? Tell me. Everybody is sleeping. Ritoproto. Vigor.
Sir, record trigger flow.
Record?
Record trigger flow.
Record triggered. Okay, good. Record triggered flow, what one? Before or after?
Sir, after.
Why?
Sir, because new account is not fitting us, so that's why.
New account?
So we are inserting a row in a new account, sir.
Row in a new?
A new object.
What do you mean new object? Choose your terms very carefully. What is new? Why are you using the term new? Account share is a standard object. Anybody wants to give it a try? কি হাল তোমাদের? How will you write a flow? Which flow will you use? Which one? ভয় পাচ্ছ কেন? এই তো বললে।
Record trigger flow.
হ্যাঁ?
Record trigger flow.
Record triggered flow. Which one will you use? This one or this one?
Sir, next one.
Huh?
Actions related record, sir.
কেন? Why?
Sir, miss. So we are triggering the record in different object, that's why, sir.
That is right. Different object, not new object. So I will create a record automatically when a new record is created. Yeah. And I will insert where? In which table? Account ID.
ID.
What will I do?
The dot ID.
Then row cause. Manual. user and ID. I can use any field. I am now using the owner ID field. You can use any field, okay? You can create a new user record or lookup and you can use that one. Account level access, read only. You have to give these two accesses also because account also, and I will say it is private. Opportunity also. That's it. Some problem. We create another. So let's create a relationship. Lookup relationship with user. Field level will be count. Oh, yeah, no. So instead of this one, now I will use the call. That's fine. So now let us test it once again. Oh, account coordinator. So now we have an insert. If I now query it with this record, so you see, one is the owner is already inserted and the flow is also inserting. Okay, that's how you can dynamically share records using flows. There are some more ways of doing it, but it is only for information. You don't have to worry about it. These 5 methods, if you remember, is enough for your case. But there are other mechanisms for sharing. It's important for me to just tell about them for your information. So that there is also a mechanism called territory management. There's other product through which you can do that, enterprise territory management, wherein there is a hierarchy of territories which you can define. So there is can be role hierarchy as well as territories, like region-specific territories. That is also possible to be utilized for sharing. Apart from that, you can also write pages using Visual Force page or Lightning Web Components or any other define, and you can show some records to people who necessarily do not have access. It is also a way of doing it. It's a programmatic way of doing it. So probably you can write a flow and you can show the record. You can run a flow in a system mode also. So people who probably do not have the ability to see that can see it. And of course, the 8th method, which we already have discussed, that is the view all and modify all. Right? So use this very rarely, only when that person needs all access and needs to bypass OWT info. So there are total these 8 methods of sharing, which you need to remember. Any questions so far?